All right, everyone, wanted to give you a quick update on the CR500 project. Haven't posted in a while, but I have been busy at work going through some things. First thing I wanted to show y'all were the handlebars. I ended up repainting these because the first paint job I did really did not turn out that well, and I never got to the clear coat with Hardner stage on them, and I just did not like the way they were looking. So I ended up stripping them down again to bare metal and redoing everything really carefully, and they came out amazing. So this is basically a direct color match to the original Honda. Sorry, my hands are filthy. To the original Honda color, and also used that 2K clear with Hardner. And then after it was fully dry, I went in and I used a very light metal polish to polish them to a really good shine, and you can see they look really good. So that's the handlebars. The other thing I did, some of these components, obviously I polished with my polishing wheel, polished the little screw head, polished this clamp, polished these bolts, polished the lever. Went in, and as I said probably on a previous video, I ended up changing out the piston and I ended up polishing that lever. So yeah, this is looking really good. Now, one of the things I noticed with the UFO front number plates is they don't have the actual locking mechanism to basically wrap this around and lock it in some way. Some people cut it off. I'm just going to end up, unfortunately, having to zip tie this to this little clutch lever adjuster point right there and zip tie it. You probably won't see it, most people, but it's just one of those things. But bars are done. Everything looks really good. And let me show you also the frame, because we've been working on that, and the shock. So we got the shock back from Piccolito, rebuilt, just awesome. Interesting story. We actually, when he sent it, he had dropped it off at UPS to my wrong address, an address that I had like 10 years ago. And I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, the shock's gonna be gone. So I was very glad to be able to get in touch with the people at the UPS store and make sure it went to the right place, which it did. So we got that on. I haven't adjusted the preload. I needed to put it back on just to make the bike, rollable. Otherwise, I had to have it up on the stand constantly. I did end up finding a match to the Honda paint that is used on these. And then I ended up going in, painting it, polishing it, wet sanding everything where I touched up, so there was really no lines or anything between the two different paints. And then I ended up going in and hitting it with clear. So I'm going to be, of course, picking the best side to show that's visible when you get everything back on. But I still have to adjust the preload. Looks pretty good. And then also I want to show y'all real quick the frame. Ended up doing the same thing with the frame as I've done with a lot of my bikes. When the frames are in good shape, pretty much go in and I will selectively either touch up or find a weld point, and then I will paint from that weld point down as needed or as minimal as possible, just to make sure that I don't have to get rid of the original paint, the original patina. So that's what I did. It's kind of a light cosmetic touch up, and as you can see, I think it looks really good. Everything looks really nice. Let me get to the other side here. It's so nice to have that shock back on. Guys, can't tell you. Looks just great. So I did the same thing here, really carefully going through and touching everything up. I think I probably started somewhere around here, and it just looks great. Now, it was in really good shape, honestly, but of course there were some dings and things. There were frame guards on the bike, so we had a huge section of paint that was just missing right there. And as you can see, it's really not noticeable, honestly, from what I can see. And I will roll this out in the sun and show y'all. And ended up repainting this, getting this down to bare metal, sanding it down, and then repainting it. And found, again, the color match, which I posted on another video. And a few people on Facebook were, saying, oh, that's a terrible paint. It's going to, get all messed up and gas falls on it. But what I explained was, that's just the base coat, right? We've got a primer, we got a base coat. We add the Hardner with clear coat on top of that. That is resistant to solvents, right? That is very close to a high quality paint shop paint. It's the Hardner that makes the difference. So this is done. This looks really great. I still have to torque these down. And that's about it. We're just kind of moving through the project. If you're new to this, It's a 2001 CR500 that I got. Been chronicling that. It's probably one of my favorite rebuilds, and I would say the WR is my favorite, the WR500. This is right there along with it. But this really wasn't a mechanical rebuild like the KX500. This was pretty much just a cosmetic refresh. So that's where we're at. We're moving along. The next thing I'm going to be doing is getting the airbox polished up. You know, these have basically, like, if you're familiar with them, kind of like an outside section that gets worn from boots and mud and debris and things like that. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to wet sand it and get those sections really nice and smooth. Then I'm going to come in and polish it, and then we should be able to move forward really nicely there. Oh, I got a couple updates too I forgot to mention here. So one of the things I had to do that I really didn't want to do was I had to sand this swing arm down, at least on this front side that, you know, I'm facing right now. And I had to do this to get off some scratches. The way they do these CR swing arms is they have a clear coat on them. So if you try to sand them down, you're gonna see that there's a color change. And you'll basically see, you know, depending on how quickly, you know, you start really grinding into the, pushing into that clear coat, you'll see where the clear coat wears away is like a different color. It's a little more milky where the clear coat is. So when I had these scratches here that were pretty noticeable, and I started sanding down, then I noticed, okay, there's the clear. So I had to basically remove the clear, which would not come off with paint remover, believe it or not, or stripper. And I had to take all of that clear off just through sanding, and then remove this cap, and then sand and sand and sand and finish it. So now it's, you know, very, very nice. There's nothing showing there. And then we've got on the other side, which was perfect. Just for comparison, this side you'll see has the clear coat, and it's about the same, maybe a little less bright, but of course that's 20-year-old clear coat. I'm also going to be changing the brake pads, and I potentially might be swapping for a new rear disc. The reason, and you guys could tell me, there's a good bit of wear here. If you look at this, there's a good bit, maybe a 1/4 mil, and I think this disc probably needs to get redone. So, not changed out. Sorry, I thought my lawn people were here. You can hear them. So I'm considering swapping this out, and then basically changing out the brake pads and just starting fresh. We'll see. But that's about it, guys. We've been moving along, and I'll keep you posted, and we should have some good videos coming up here in the next few days and into next week, because I'm going to be moving forward with the goal to get this thing back together and do a startup for you guys so you can hear it and we can admire her in her complete form. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead, hit like and subscribe.